So Nikki Haley is, I think, surging at the right time to be a competitor. Not necessarily the winner, but to be a competitor. Obviously, Trump is still way ahead, but the point is that she looks like she can at least be somewhat competitive. So Nikki Haley has been endorsed by the governor of New Hampshire, Chris Sununu. Chris Sununu is a very popular governor in New Hampshire. He has a good crossover appeal with Democrats and Republicans. He's like, kind of the poster child of a moderate Republican. And now Nikki Haley got his endorsement.
Sununu to me is the Republican Andy Bashir.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, Andy Bashir, guy from Kentucky, won the governor race 2023 as a Democrat in Kentucky, very similar to Chris Sununu. Exactly the same vibe.
Yeah.
There was a lot of push to get Chris Sununu to run for the Senate seat in New Hampshire in 2022, but Chris Sununu decided not to do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of Republicans blamed him for losing the Senate because of that. Because honestly, Chris Sununu would have beat Maggie Hassan. There's no doubt in my mind, to be honest.
Okay.
But now, here is our newest polling out of New Hampshire. Trump at 44, Nikki Haley at 29, DeSantis at 11, Christie at 10, Ramaswamy, Hutchison 5 or below. So Nikki Haley coming within 20 points to Trump. Coming within 20 points doesn't sound like that great, but only being 15 points behind is not bad.
No, as far as, you started this off by saying she's surging at the right time. It is funny that being 15 points down is surging, but it is, because usually it's 30 points down has been the norm for most of this race.
Exactly.
So I am pretty impressed by it. It does seem it gives me the impression that she might have a chance in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and winning in New Hampshire obviously doesn't mean she can win nationally, but it means she might be able to propel herself to a better showing in South Carolina and a better showing on Super Tuesday than people would have expected.
Yeah.
And, you never know what can happen at a convention. So I just think it's interesting that Nikki Haley really is surging at the right time. And she's facing a lot of flack now because she needs to go beyond the anti-Trumpers, right? She needs to not just coalesce with the Christie vote, because that Christie vote is at 10%, right? That's the hard anti-Trump. She doesn't only need to get and consolidate the Christie vote. She needs to tap into the DeSantis and a bit of the Trump vote too. And DeSantis voters are not anti-Trump voters. That's not how that works.
No.
So she needs to have this broader appeal, and it's making it very difficult when she goes on national media. She was interviewed this weekend, I think on Meet the Press or Face the Nation, one of those shows. And she was asked pretty point blank, like, how do you feel about Donald Trump's current rhetoric around calling your political enemies vermin, or saying that he's going to be a dictator on day one and go after all of his enemies and enact retribution. And all she could say was, I don't know why you're so obsessed with the guy. Well, I'm sorry, Nikki Haley, we're so obsessed with the guy because he's running in the lead of your party's presidential nomination procedure. He's leading you in the primary. We're all concerned about him because he might be the president of the United States come 2 years from now.
Yeah, obviously. He is the one who was your boss a few years ago when you were the U.S. ambassador to the UN.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't we be obsessed with him? Why would we possibly be more obsessed with you than we are with him?
And
he's like a much more consequential human.
And it doesn't seem like we're obsessed with him. It seems like the Republican base is obsessed with him because even after everything, they're still giving him 44% of the vote in New Hampshire, 60% of the vote nationally. We're not obsessed with him. Your party is obsessed with him, and you need to tell us why that is.